Hey everyone, Yan Zhao back again. Tonight, the Vonster, Von Klaus, the master of horror himself.
Oh, is that me? Is that my turn to talk about how mastery of horror I am? All
Yeah,
right. I am the master. I'm really not. I'm just a punk kid in Tulsa, Oklahoma, making comic books. But I do hope you are creeped out by them because they're horrific.
well, for me, Monster MD was kind of like the right split. Something that's
Yep.
very hard. It was in a lot of ways it reminds me of
Balance.
Sam Raimi in his Evil Dead 2 era, where
My
it's like,
favorite. It's my favorite.
well, it's the best. One is a little, I don't know, Tree Rape was a little bit too much for me. Even though it is a classic, it's like,
High in fiber, but yes, bad for you overall.
two like struck that balance, and three, Army of Darkness
Yep.
was a classic, of course, but a little more on the humor side.
And I love that movie as well, but I have to agree. If you were going to compare my work to any of those, Evil Dead 2 is the apt choice. We're like chefs when we make art, when we make comics. And I feel like everything I do is about ingredients and balancing it, And so to make it the most flavorful, entertaining thing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I would definitely say Evil Dead 2 and a lot of that 80s horror flair makes its way into my work. It probably always will in some way.
And so, you did Monster MD.
Yeah.
It took a couple years from the original campaign to it got fulfilled last year.
Yeah.
So during that time, have you found your tastes have switched, like in terms of horror? Like you're like, I'm done with that style. I want to go a little more one way or the other. Or are you like trying to keep on that narrow path?
Here's the thing. I love horror and it will always find its way into my work. But yeah, since writing Monster MD and then writing Terror in the Trenches, things have changed for me as a writer. Like I am writing. I've taken on a lot of jobs writing a lot of different genres, more superhero-y stuff over here. And I wrote a villain's origin for somebody recently. It was a really cool one shot. So there's all these different. I've been writing and learning and growing to where, like, what I thought my writing was, which was like Monster MD, is what I thought like was me. Like that's just what my writing is. You know what I mean? It's going to be this kind of more funny in tone, but then have its serious, horrific moments style stuff. But I no, like there's so many other tones and genres I've been enjoying writing. But I think I have an affinity for the creepy for sure. So like it's always gonna make its way in to things I write, even if it's superheroes.
So are you thinking in the future, maybe branching out to some other genres?
Oh man, are you kidding me? Yeah. Almost all my ideas are kind of different genres, but they all have this flavor that's very me that I know I can entertain people. That's cool, but it is fun. It's you learn about yourself more as a writer as you write a genre, you learn more about it and it's fun, it's a challenge. I have everything from a story about psychic assassins to a story about devils who are brothers that live and work in hell and they quit their jobs to go be humans on Earth. So it's fan. I notice I have a lot of fantasy, but with like a horror thing. You'll notice the titles of my work: Monster MD, Terror in the Trenches. There's this something's going on, but in a way, I'm discovering my work along with all of you because I don't know what it is all about yet. I just am doing the things I think are cool, and here it is.
So you mentioned you are getting other writing gigs now. Would you say that that sort of takes the pressure off and it makes you feel a little more confident in writing your own projects later? Or is it more like, oh man, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm worried I'm going to use up all my mojo on these, or takes time?
I love my job enough, at least right now, that just to get to write comics and get paid, like I'm having a good time. My philosophy is I set myself up for fun. So I don't so I will work really hard on like maybe someone's 20 pager but the momentum I usually get from that, I mean, I'll be able to jump into my stuff without much problem so far. I mean, maybe someday if I get a lot of work, I don't know if I will, I'll be swamped with work that might seem like, oh man, but I would hope not. I love writing all these scripts so far. So I've never really felt like put out when I write my own stuff. My own stuff is so weird the way I end up writing it. It's like late at night during like a adrenaline fueled creative spurt anyway. So even if I am tired, I'm just like, you know.
So, you know, are you the kind of writer who listens to music when you write?
No. I maybe if I'm writing panel descriptions and I already know what they are, like from my notes, and I'm writing the script and I can look at my notes, then I could maybe listen to music while I'm doing that. But usually no. I'm like a medium. I'm like an antenna that like needs no disturbance to be able to hear these characters and let them interact in front of me and like try to like take it down and then bring it back to entertain you with. So if music is playing, and I'm really sensitive to light and sound, so like with music's playing, my brain just goes to that and like gets into it, analyzes it and enjoys it and like hears the lyrics and wonders about the meaning. My antenna is totally distracted now. You know what I mean? So in order to hear these characters, I can't hear the music. Also, I mean, when you're writing dialogue, man, you have to hear these things. You're like, it's kind of like you're an actor for a bit. I can't act when there's like music blaring at me, you know. But when I'm doing character designs, which is another part of my thing, my process, like man, I'll blare music all night. Like I'll be jamming. Yes.
So you mentioned a general adrenaline fueled writing sprees. Do you feel that you write better if you I don't know, sort of alter your mind? And I don't necessarily mean you're high on shrooms or something. Some people drink, some musicians would do marijuana, but like even if it's like you got to stay up late, you got to really hit that caffeine so the mind is sort of altered. Do you find that stuff flows out more freely?
Yes. It's self-hypnosis. What you do is everything else gets tuned out and falls away, and you end up you start hearing the characters, you start feeling the world, and you're just like a court reporter reporting it back. And I think when you're doing that, that's when you're in the right state of mind, and that is not a normal state of mind. It's hypnotic, but using substances or whatever you need to do it, like a lot of older artists I notice, like people, for instance, like David Lynch, the filmmaker, he uses transcendental meditation in order to get himself where he needs to be. That is a beautiful thing to be able to do that without chemicals, probably way healthier. But like I use chemicals and I like it because I definitely noticed that some of my most fun ideas and breakthroughs in scripts that made me cheer late in the night were when I was in an altered state of mind with a little chemical enhancement. So because it makes me relax, and when I relax, that's when I'm at my best. I guess that's when we can think freely and stuff. So yeah, that's what that does for me, and I get why a lot of musicians have used it. I get why it's like a common thing. So yeah, it's cool to have your creative like thing that gets you going. It works. When you're in a different state of mind, it's just better for your work. You're going to be more honest. And so like I've definitely caught myself going, man, if I were like totally sober right now, I would just be stuck in like kind of more miserable writing instead of having like the great time I'm having right now, like jamming.
Yeah, it's well, it basically lowers your inhibitions, and you can say things that maybe your conscious mind is like, no, don't say that.
Right. You could be honest about who the characters are too. And like, but a lot of times, yeah, when I have a problem, I'll have a smoke, I'll come back, like problem solved. Like the creative inspiration comes. Yeah.
And like, how much would you say is usable right away? Like, is it pretty close to a finished product, or let's say once you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, okay, this needs to be edited down, and you got like the good stuff there, but then you need to kind of
Yeah. Oh yeah.
smooth over the rough
Well,
edges and
when it comes, do you mean like the night after using substance? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Like
Well, I
you
mean,
wake
it's
up the next day and you're like, what did I do?
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
how much of it is that versus like, oh my god,
Um,
it's ready to go to print?
oh man, like the more I write, the
Mhm.
more I see the importance for redrafts. So like I'm definitely not a
Yeah.
just write it and like it's perfect. But damn if I don't come up with some like good one-liners that remain, for the dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah, and so speaking of dialogue, something I find myself doing, and I always wonder how many other writers do it. Do you, when you're writing characters speaking, do you speak it out, and do you like have voices? Like you mentioned acting before, do you sort of go method when you're writing?
Um I don't think I go method. I but I catch myself talking to myself almost like I'm talking to them, but
Mhm.
yeah, but I will, yeah, I'll read lines out loud and I'll do little voices, not like all the time or anything, but I'll say them and then I'll just laugh and be like, "Oh, those lines feel good." You know what I mean? You have this great exchange and it gives you a little rush, and so yeah, you read it aloud, give yourself a chuckle during your work. It's part of the fun.
Yeah, I always wondered. My wife occasionally hears me like talking to myself in different
Mhm.
voices. Like, comes
Yeah.
in, like, what the hell are you doing?
You're hearing the characters. Hmm.
Um, so speaking of characters, well, one thing I was wondering about Terror in the Trenches, which let's bring that up here for a second. You had a pretty good hit with Monster MD.
Mhm.
So what was it? Most people would say, "Oh, you gotta, strike again while the anvil's hot" with that. What made you say, like, "Nah, I want to try something else"?
That was it's a great question and a crazy story, but essentially, to try to keep it short, I wrote this script for the love and joy of it. This became my it's a 206 pager. I didn't divide it up. I just wrote a thick, awesome book telling this awesome story. I didn't worry about page numbers. It's my Dark Avenger epic, but I didn't expect to make it. I put it in a folder to gather dust. And then I designed my version of Black Terror, of Lady Satan. They're both free to use characters that
In a
I
folder.
am updating, and all of a sudden I'm like, these are pretty cool. I showed everything I had going to Monica and my artist from Monster MD, and she went like
Mhm.
nuts. Yes, I love this. So basically what happened was a series of me creating cool things, and then I'd show it to my other artist friends and Monica, and they would all say thumbs up, this is great. And then it came to this point where it was like choosing between this and Monster MD2, and it was very close between the two. It really was. I was actually thinking Monster. In fact, here's how close it was for a little lore for you guys. I've made Monster MD2 ads, but I didn't
Oh,
release them. I like held off on releasing them. Yeah, like this book was almost put into production over Terror in the Trenches. But something Monica said she really wanted to do Terror. She believed in the script. She loved my designs. We came up with this amazing cast, and when we did the character designs for them, everybody went bonkers. So what I do is I make cool things that I enjoy doing. It's not a full comic book yet, and I release it to artist friends or show people on stream sometimes, and I get reactions, and I can kind of gauge excitement. The more I showed of this, the more everyone was like, "This is amazing," So it ended up being the the road I decided to go down, to go more high tea and dark avenging superhero. I don't have a full Monster MD script or anything. It's just kind of like in the notes stage, but I want to do it. But this was just too, I don't know. There was something really special about doing this with Monica as our follow up. If anything, it's done better than Monster MD. So a lot of people have come back, which is awesome. But I feel like I'm never going to make a book like this again, like the dark superhero badass. Like, this is too cool. It's an honor to get to show people the potential coolness of the character Black Terror. He's kind of a character that people don't think much of in the world of comics, or even know of, a lot of people. So he's, you know, he deserves to contend with anything else out there. And I feel like our team kind of can prove that with this book.
So, you know, I looked up the Black Terror because I wasn't all that familiar with him. And, you know, he's been rebooted several times over the years. There were a few series in the 80s for some reason, and then like it skips to about 2010, and then there were like 2 or 3 more series. What was it that made you say, you know, you had pretty good success with all the characters in Monster MD? What made you say, like, no, I want to would rehabilitate or revamp this guy from the 40s?
It was a mixture of when I saw him, he looked so cool, but yet he wasn't. Like, he just wasn't. I don't know. I liked, like I said earlier, I like the creepy side. This guy's the creepy dark guy side of superheroes. He should be cooler than he is. Then I read some of the current takes on him, and I got a little angry. I got a little frustrated, got a little spiteful about it. I was like, I felt competitive, you know? Also, my gears started turning on him a while back, because there was a company that was talking about hiring me to write a Black Terror one-shot. So it would have been, I saw that as an opportunity to do this fun, you know, Vaughn version. But yeah, he kept haunting me after that. I kept thinking about it. The comics made me kind of mad because they didn't treat him so hot, or take him very seriously. And so I was just like, man, it was kind of like I'm doing it by myself, and I feel like I could do this better than the pros are doing it. Late at night, just doing it out of spite and for the joy of it, man. I mean, to a hero in all black with the skull and crossbones on his chest, like, that's the perfect hero for my style, like, for what I like. Punky, gothy, you know.
It seems like great timing with Marvel deciding to change the Punisher's logo.
Yeah, that was just pure dumb luck. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, one thing I was wondering when you announced this was like, okay, it seems like maybe there's a little bit of giving the finger to modern pros who they've inherited the crown jewels, all these awesome characters who've stood the test of time, and they can't do anything with them. Whereas it's like, all right, well, I'll take this guy who's very obscure and, you know, no one's really been that interested in him since 1941. So
I flipped it. It's very hard to do what I did, but at the same time, like, I saw that challenge as fun and a potential to show, like, he could be really cool. Like, it's right in front of you, but you don't see it, you know? But not a middle finger to the pros at all. More like, look what we could do. You know what I mean? Like, remember comics being like this, you know? Like, remember things having imagination and originality and being brutal and fun and rule breaky.
Let's see. It's JoJo. Of course, Punisher is going to be changed back because it's too iconic.
Oh yeah, but will a company that's scared of guns and gun violence and being accused of promoting that have the Punisher have his own series again, though, and have him blasting fools? That remains to be seen.
I don't know. I think the only time they'll bring him back is when they need to, you know, keep the skull for like trademark issues, copyright issues.
Yeah. Ouch.
So, otherwise, I mean, you know, they've already had him as a kindergarten teacher wearing a sweater. So I don't know how much more
with little skulls?
Sadly, no. It was like
that'd
a
be my version.
Christmas sweater, unfortunately.
Damn, I'm gonna make Black Terror a Christmas sweater that's just skulls. Tons of
Yeah,
skulls.
well, maybe in issue 2 he can teach second grade and
throw a knife at a kid. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could even have something like Ghost Rider, like I'm punishing you, now I'm the Punisher. That's where they go with that.
They should just hire me to write Punisher and make him awesome again.
Hey, in a few years you might be able to license the character.
Woo! Interesting. Nah, I'm just gonna have fun with Black Terror. He's more my flow.
All right, so getting back to Black Terror, why don't you give us a little overview for the people who weren't alive in the 1940s?
So he was the character you went to for your dark, violent vengeance, killing Nazis with machine guns type. He has super strength. He's very durable. He's fast. He inhaled these things called formic ethers that he said he invented to pep ya up, like they used to say back then. And what ended up happening was he became the Black Terror. He just decided to wear this costume with the skull and crossbones on it and call himself Black Terror and fight crime. He ends up fighting Nazis in the 40s. Then he's been reimagined as a free-to-use character over the years in different cool ways. Some ways, more interesting than others. But nowadays, he's not so cool. He's not considered that much of a contender on the shelves or whatever. But I saw potential for coolness. I saw him as a trench warrior, a guy that emits a fear toxin. Instead of inhaling formic ethers, we've replaced it with something called terror gas. It makes him strong and durable, but it also makes him emit that fear toxin. So when he gets too close, you see him as what you fear most. So he's got that whole, black. He lives up to the name Terror now more. Instead of a cape and all that stuff and the piratey get up and the cutlass, he's using trench knives, one in each hand and one in his teeth. And he's moving through the trenches like Wolverine on a bender. He's a killing and a whopping and a killing. And he's a nightmare. He's horrific, man. When you see him, you're freaked out. When he gets closer, you're really freaked out. And people react to fear differently in the book. You'll see in the story. But that's kind of one of the things that defines my terror and makes him different from the original.
And one of the things that I liked about this too is that your setting is 1970s New York City.
Fear City.
I hate the 70s and I hate New York, but this is, I think that urban horror for some reason is like a really underdeveloped style of horror. Even if it's not, you'd say like a normal straight horror, more action horror-y. It's like a really underused setting because Fear City was no joke. I mean, people were getting killed randomly on subways, crime. Nobody was being arrested for crime.
Right.
Wait.
Times Square was like the cesspool of the planet.
Yeah, the 70s, not now.
Yes.
And it was really bad into the 80s. So
and they got cleaned up by Giuliani.
and so how does this setting influence the writing of the story itself?
Well, it doesn't, because I blew it all up.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you want to talk about urban horror? The setting of this is the ashes, the crater, the trenches that were once his neighborhood streets. Everything's been blown to hell by vengeful Nazis from his past. And he must don the black mantle again and get out there and take them on, man, in the battleground that was once, his neighborhood. He's flashing back to the trenches of World War II and all the damage he did there and some weird, crazy things that happened as he does this. He's very haunted, dude. He's very conflicted. He's very scared that he's going to have a little bit too much terror gas like in the past and go blackout. And when he does, friend and foe alike could get murdered. He'll kill anyone, He goes nuts, berserk. So There's a lot hovering over him, including the ghost of his wife, who's been dead for years, who literally is haunting him and following him around. So good times had by all. But yeah, so like I don't even give you much at all of New York 1975, except for I do mention that it's called Fear City, you know, and then when everything gets blown up, Black Terror keeps thinking to himself, like, welcome to Fear City, you know. So the setting of this is more like a John Carpenter movie in a way. It's like a throwdown battle, you know, ashen battleground brawl for like for a night in Black Terror's life.
Like Escape from New York meets like a Charles Bronson movie.
You could say that. Yeah. That'd be a nice blend.
And if we can get a little bit into story, so what brings him sort of out back into the open? Like what makes him say like, all right, it's go time. I got to start with these again.
They blow up his neighborhood. Like they try to get him and they're unsuccessful, and he has to go back to the Terror Dome and gas up and get out there and kill.
So speaking of who's after him, so I know that Lady Satan was a character from the original, but you decided to go for your own villains.
Yeah, I designed my own, man. This is part of the way I like to create. I'm trying to have fun, and I'm trying to do my takes on characters. You'll see my takes on characters that are kind of classic sometimes in my villains.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, oh yeah, if you keep scrolling down under the art, we hit the character designs. There's a lot of art, I know. I just really want to wow people.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too, because one of the things that I don't like with campaigns is like sometimes somebody will put out like 3, maybe 4 images, and then they're like the only splash pages in the book, and the rest of it looks nothing like that. So at least here we can say like, all right, this is pretty consistent.
Yeah. And there's so many splash pages in this book, though, so it's going to be... I think I learned to love the splash more through writing the script. It was fun. It was a good time. Lady Satan, there she is, the mystic gone ballistic. She, in the original comics, was just a killer with guns, but then they revamped her to be a mystic with magic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm combined and made her a gun witch. And I've always wanted to do a gun witch character, so she became my excuse. And I stayed true to the red cloak of her old days. One of the things I think has been fun about this is like how much I stay true to them while totally reinventing them in a fun way. So it's been fun, man. She's great. She's the mouth. I like having a mouth character in my stuff, and I've noticed. Comes in.
Here we go.
Yeah, character designs. Our villains. Oh man. So I've always wanted to do the Baroness from G.I. Joe, like a sociopathic, vinyled up Nazi lady. So here she is in the form of Detonetta. She excites her cells, and then explosions shoot off of her. Then we've got Lockshot, the brilliant sniper with mutated eyes that are like scopes that can zoom in, have night vision, and all that cool stuff. She uses her mom's rifle. Her mom was a Russian sniper. Then we have Dr. Coffenstein, your classic maniacal Nazi doctor gone, Führer, gone leader of the Black Reich. He's, I don't know, he's kind of like Vincent Price meets some sort of crazy, like Mengele, maybe. And then we have my excuse to do Trapjaw. I've always wanted to do a kind of a Nazi zombie, a cybered up character, so this was my excuse to do, bring in that Trapjaw stuff that I've loved since I was a kid. And so, yeah, these are my designs. Monika helped in ways. Monika, of course, drew these awesome character designs you see here. So, yeah, they came out so cool.
So, yeah, you and Monika seem to be, fairly close package in the comics creation department, let's say. Like how much does she factor in, like when you go back and forth with creating the character?
She'll send me sketches and like drop in ideas that I'll be like, yes, no, yes. So like she and when it's definitely like we bounce notes and ideas off each other, and she'll throw things at me sometimes, but usually she's pretty spot like she follows my designs pretty close because I'm pretty meticulous too. Like it's like it has to be this, it has to be,
Yeah.
But for the most part, when she improvises things that I didn't think of, they're always beautiful. God, she like adds things. Like I think, let me think of something on these that she might have like added that just like totally killed it. I think the star on Lockshot's hat, she just kind of did. I didn't give any direction. It just was perfect. The creepy sword for Dr. Koffenstein and the giant syringe, like and the cybered out arm, that's all Monica. So like there's her brilliance, her additions, She does great stuff. Just one of the best.
Yeah, and out of curiosity, how did you find her in the beginning? Because it's I gotta say, Monster MD is, before I would have said for 100% for sure, the best designed book that I've seen come out of CG.
Nice.
Long Harbor is, it's pretty close, but I still got to give the edge to Monster MD. So how'd you find Monica?
I saw her art on Facebook and I dropped her a line. And I knew right away, I was like, if this was my artist for Monster MD, we'd have a hit. I knew it. So yeah, I tested her. I had her do this little pinup. It's Wyatt falling asleep in his chair after a long night of work with his cigarette like still lit, and of course, and Heidi sneaking up invisible behind him. You could see her glasses floating, and she's about to dump like a bucket of monster guts on him. So fun times in the office, and the way Monica drew it, the way it came out, it was so fantastic. I was like, this is a hit. This is this is gonna work. It was good stuff.
Awesome.
We've worked together ever since. Yep.
All right. So you've got, I was a little surprised, like you've got a ton of extra add-ons and
I'm crazy.
different levels. So what, let's see, let's go back up to the top real quick. So if someone is just getting into the Vaughnverse, where should they start in this campaign? Like what would you recommend is the best value for a newbie?
If you want to just grab the first book, I mean, you're starting from the beginning. You're doing great. Every book has an add-on, so you can get Monster MD if you want. We've sold a lot of Monster MDs for people who missed it the first time around. And that's like Monster MD is the place to start. Yeah. So, but if you are trying, our times are tough and you want just the digital to read, on the go, Digital Deluxe is pretty awesome. That's a good starter. If you go higher and you get up into like Total Terror and stuff, you get Digital Deluxe with that, get all the goodies. So yeah, it's, something that I feel like you're catching me pretty early in my career. So like, good job. Like grab Monster MD, grab Terror of the Trenches. You're pretty much there. But yeah, my name's going to be in a lot of stuff coming out this year too, though. So I'm pretty stoked.
Oh, nice. And so I get the question a lot. Are you shipping international with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy to do that right now, I know, but I'm hoping by the time we're done with the book a few months from now, that
calm down.
It's not hell. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering. I know certain backers from overseas are like, I want it, but the money.
I have worked with some people, like for instance, to give Australians like cheaper shipping.
Mhm.
So
Oh, nice.
we do network and work together. It's really awesome. Some great people are helping me out. Some great bogans.
All right. So signed comic.
Oh yes. Grab yourself a signed comic at 78 pages of pure, amazing, dark Avenger epicness. What some people call Bruce Timm on roids. Glow in the dark shirt because I can. What
Awesome.
else? Comic and a
Yes.
two-sided poster. That is a Kelsey Shannon poster, I'll have you know. It's freaking awesome.
Both of those, or
Oh, the other side is the Monica and Tiago Barca, which are our artists for Terror in the Trenches, did another Lady Satan that's totally awesome. Like it's incredible.
yeah, let's see. Unfortunately, I don't think it's in here, but the one that's on the right on this, I was looking at that, like trying to figure out how exactly the perspective worked, and it was like, oh my god,
It's
crazy
like a big,
design skills.
yeah. I love that big old heel, that gun heel right up in your grill. Then we have the Terror Files, which is like you get 4 high quality prints, and on the other side you're going to get like secret files and data about the characters, and it looks like you're looking at classified military documents. It's kind of fun.
And then one that I thought was interesting, the Terror Gas Vial replica.
My first replica. I've never done this before. I'm really proud of this. Dead Sun Prime. It was the great designer who made this happen with me. He made the model, and he's pouring and doing the resin and everything and making these. This is a vial that holds Black Terror's terror gas that he would have on his belt. He pulls it off. He pops the top. He inhales the gas. It gives him strength. Maybe he's really wounded by getting hit, a lot, or hit by something pretty big and hard. He could pop one of these and heal right up. It also, of course, emits that fear toxin that makes you see him as what you fear most. It is a very toxic substance to other people other than Black Terror. It comes with a cool little removable arm stand, and it is meticulously designed. It says 200 milliliters really small on it, so you get like a measurement of how much compressed gas it holds. It really does have this really cool kind of this is like a prototype, the one that's not finished being painted, but it's chromed and aged. But it has a really cool kind of feel, like you actually hold it and it's a real vial, and like you can pop it. I mean, it feels almost 1-to-1 scale, like it really came off his belt, and I just love it. It's got a real mad scientist sci-fi feel,
And, is it something that, should someone want to, they could perhaps put some things to inhale in there?
I mean, we're going to be gluing the tops down, but if you really want to pull, I wouldn't recommend trying to pull it off because I wouldn't want you to break it. But this one, I could pull it off and put like green M&Ms in it or something crazy.
There you go.
But yeah, these are what's cool about these, though, that I'm really excited for is when you get one of these and then you read the story, you're going to see how important one of these are to the plot. So this isn't just a cool prop. This is plotness. This is the plot. There's also a little talk about making the skull and crossbone on these glow in the dark. You won't be able to tell until the lights go out and then it glows. So this prop's getting cooler by the minute, guys. Do not miss it. There's only 100. Doing 100 only. Man, 27 have been claimed. Dang. I thought we were at just like 25 earlier. Yeah, we were at 25 earlier. That's cool.
So you got 2 signed books, 10 signed books. I'm assuming it'd be more for stores. Should they decide to actually sell books that, might go off the shelves?
Yeah. Hey, I'm here to help. You want it?
And so the Terror sketches sold out, but you can get the original Terror painting. And
this is such a cool painting, dude. On comic board, bonded to Masonite, Preston Acevedo at his best.
Nice. And is there going to be is it going to, that image appear in the book somewhere?
Yeah. it needs to be. People need to be able to check it out and appreciate it for sure. We'll put it in there.
All right.
It's so cool. It's so cool. I'm so stoked that he did that.
So is Terror in the Trenches like just a one shot, or is it part of a larger story, or
the trilogy is it?
Aha.
That's it. It's a 206 page trilogy done.
So are you thinking of doing like Terror in the Trenches, then Monster MD, then Terror in the Trenches, then like back and forth, or do you think you're going to finish this off?
I was thinking of going back and forth, but but Monika is my Monster MD artist, so we have to finish Trenches first. It won't take too long to finish Trenches because, it just won't. 206 pages for over a span of 3 campaigns. We could do that. Like, we can get you your books fast. But then what? So people and other people are telling me, hey man, just do your 3 campaigns and kill it and make some, do well. And then after that, hit it with Monster MD 2. So that sounds kind of fun to me. Like, I'll make these campaigns will not last for like too long, they will not like drag. So like it's not like I'll be like waiting to get to Monster MD. I'll be getting through with this and then be jumping right on. By then I'll probably have a better Monster MD script, So that would be cool to do.
Yeah, I think that idea is good too. Plus, the Monster MD, the first one, is kind of its own self-encapsulated thing, and not that I'm saying get rid of Monika or something. But if something happened, you could have another one that's different.
Right.
Because if you're in the middle of a story, better to finish that off because you never know what could happen.
Yep. It's a crazy world.
So, how many campaigns or books would you optimally put out per year?
It'd be awesome to be able to pull off 2. If that seems still like very, we'll see. In a way, this is all new for me, right? This is my big experiment. Can I write a trilogy that's killer, and do something big with, make some money off it? So, and get it out in a very timely manner, by doing 78 pages instead of Monster MD, which was like 144 pages of content, I think, something like that. Oh man, I really added a lot. By doing it this way, I'm hoping to maximize our output and get 2 done a year. We'll see. It's a lot of work.
And so do you think that you'll always work in these 2 franchises, or can you see yourself like either adding a third like Skunkworks project where you're like maybe 2 in the established franchises and then maybe like 1 experimental book? Or
that's like I do what I want as a creator, but to be honest, everything I make is ready to like I make sure it's like I'm an art director as much as I am a writer, so like I make these production packets, and I turn them in, and I have multiple projects going that are all different genres, all very different books that could launch their own franchises, but I would do like for instance, I already have an experimental one shot in the works. I wrote a 16-page story that I was thinking about drawing myself. So that would be definitely be a lower end book because I'm not I'm not Mr. Pro at drawing, but I would take a lot of joy in doing that and having someone help me with layouts a little bit, but then drawing it myself and kill and just that. So that's one experiment I want to try. Could be fun. Could be cool. I'm revisiting a character that I made up when I was 8 years old named Radical Rabbit.
Radical Rabbit?
Hell yeah.
What? Why is he rabbit?
Oh, he flips and throws knives and
cool
messes people. And he's now the new revamped version of him is a getaway driver. He's I changed his name to Jackknife Rabbit though. I wanted something with knives and he's got a lot of knives. He loves his knives. He used to throw knives in the circus back in the day. Now he's kind of a deadly getaway driver. But yeah, anyway, so that's one experiment that I'm gonna do. But so yeah, I'm kind of like gonna do what I want, you know what I mean? And it's gonna
Mhm.
be fun, but they will be, I think they'll be kind of franchise worthy in their own ways. Like they'll still be big. Or at least I'm gonna go for it, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So, in the Monster MD campaign, you did have a lot of stuff as well. You had that really cool what did you say, like medical patch? I'm not quite sure.
Oh yeah.
But now
Yeah.
it seems like you're, with the vial, it's almost in the toy category. So, one thing I'm kind of wondering if it's inevitable road that creators go down. If you look at the guys who started Image, they all started out doing comics, and then very quickly you had people like trying to get cartoons, and there were toy lines and this and that. Do you see yourself going down that road, or you're like, nah, I just like working on the comics?
I mean, who doesn't want to make awesome toys of these awesome characters that I'm making? Like everybody wants Black Terror toys and Lady Satan toys. They're telling me I still get requests for Heidi and Wyatt statues and toys. Monica told me she'd love to draw like the full body character design for a toy, 3D model for it or whatever. So yes, do I plan to do it? I haven't really, you know what I mean? It's more of a like, it's a dream and we'll see what happens for me right now.
It
Because
happens.
my
It happens type of thing.
yeah, if I would love that. It would be so much fun. This vial is a cool step in that direction for me. We'll see how it goes, type thing. But for right now, it's like I'm focusing on the best design and stories. And if I make enough money, you know what I mean? To delve into toys costs so much money too. So it's like
Yeah,
I might have to make enough too if I want to do that. We'll see.
that's true. Yeah, I was kind of wondering, you see like Ethan Van Sciver, he's branching out. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a Cyberfrog cartoon at some point. And
Oh yeah.
comic guys, especially Tim Lim and them, I've seen he's got little manga like statues, and I got a feeling he's going to be the first one to end up with a cartoon with Common America. But it makes me wonder, like in the future,
Cool.
do you think that you would like how do you see yourself doing that split? Because one of the things about the Image guys, like the only two that are kind of left, Mark Silvestri and Todd McFarlane, they haven't drawn a comic book in 30
Eric
years.
Eric Larson isn't he still? Is he
Well,
still not
no,
really?
I don't know. I tend to
Okay.
think about people who write kitty fiddlers. So
Okay. Gotcha. So what so they have it. So what about them again?
well,
Todd and Sylvester.
they they did a few comic series in the
Yeah.
beginning. Sylvester did Cyberforce, and eventually
Yep.
he started Witchblade and Darkness. But eventually, but I don't. Both of them haven't drawn an actual comic in 30 years. They're more into the toy and video and film and whatever side of the business. Do you
Yeah.
see yourself like going over and then maybe hiring other people to write stories, in the Monster MD universe or the Black Terror universe?
Well, I used to dream of like opening up a company where it's like we just make the coolest shit and like
Mhm.
I give them this, my IPs, I give them scripts and da da da. I hire these great artists. We make great art. We make great money. Everybody does what. So yeah, they're those dreams. But do I like it would be cool to I don't want to lose my writing edge. Like I love writing. It's like therapy for me. Like these guys never really got into writing. And I understand that as you get older, like to be a comic artist is very hard on your body. And
Yeah.
like so they start to and their joints wear down over the years. So they start to appreciate not having to those long 12-hour days of grinding and grinding. They're like, dude, I can take it easy and make better money than ever. So I get why they do what they do. They become good businessmen and they flourish and all, and that is appealing to me and all. But man, I don't want to stop writing. I don't want to stop creating new cool things. That's what it's all about for me. That's where my joy comes in. When I think about like Jim Lee not drawing comics, it makes me sad. When you know what I mean? But they're drawing. I know it's harder on them. I get it, the physical toughness of it all, but like, I'm not going to stop writing and creating cool new things. But if I have a company of awesome artists who are helping me put those things out, I'm going to be writing new things for them too. You know, it's something I would be really engaged in. It's not something I want to let go of the wheel of. I'm a total control freak. Like, my books have to be like my vision too. So I would want to be very creatively involved for sure.
So, sort of a slight change of topics. The general indie industry itself has really kind of changed since your boy Zach and Ethan threw up their campaigns in 2018, where at the time it was every man for himself. But I'm kind of noticing certain groups of people who are like coalescing to form, I don't know that alliance is the right words, maybe confederacies, like, I'll promote your stuff, you promote my stuff, and maybe helping each other out. Do you see that kind of like as the way of the future in the indie game, where like different groups of people will start to get together, still making their own books, but to help each other promote things and try to make each other's books a bigger success? Or do you see it as more like a individual?
The future of making indie success. I mean, it's here right now. There's a demand for good news stories. There's an online presence and communities of people looking for them and who love promoting them. I don't know about it being the future or not. I feel like it's going to be just common. Hopefully you generate a lot of hype. You get people talking, you get little groups promoting you and stuff. But like, it's just, to me, it already is, and it's here to stay. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So one other question is, you're a man who at the moment is kind of everywhere. You're doing the full court press to get this out. But even during normal times, we can catch you every Tuesday on the CG show, and you're on Gentlemen Scoundrels with Eric Weathers. As if someone were new coming into the industry, what would you say the mix is between like how much you need to put yourself out there in terms of frequency to promote yourself in general versus like how much time you got to be working on your own project? Like, because a lot of people have trouble with that balance,
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to say anything other than find a way to be able to promote yourself daily in some small way and multiple times. If you have a chance, make a folder of media and make it something that can be rather painless and fast. Like, learn how to do it, learn from copying other people and studying how they do it. But I mean, it all depends on what you want as a creator. You get what you put in, man. Like, I haven't written anything much for a little bit, and like, it's bumming me out. Like, I can't wait to but I'm working on Black Terror right now. We're promoting this stuff, and that's important. But I making time to get a little creativity, and it's like going to the gym for me. Like, I need it. I need that time. So find your balance, but just make little rules for yourself. Like, I will promote myself and only take like 10 minutes to do it, like once a day. In my opinion, in this world, what happened was like a lot of, at least in the online spheres, like Twitter and stuff, a lot of the comics pros brought in this kind of more negativity. And it's kind of that's an opportunity to bring positivity and I'm still critical too, though. I can be pretty critical of stuff out there too, but like, bring excitement back to the fans. So promoting yourself needs to be something you learn how to do. It becomes a skill. It becomes something that becomes natural to you over time. It's hard. It's not something you pick up easy. I've lucked out because I've had jobs where I've run, social media and promotions for companies before. I've learned the art of it a little bit. And I feel like it goes a long way because people associate me with fun. They come there, and that brings them back for your books.
Yeah, I do think that is one of the biggest things that I've seen with at least the big two plus Image. It's just so dour, like I don't
Us
want
versus you.
to, and I don't want to pay money for a lecture.
That's right.
I want something fun, something at the end of my day. I forget about how crappy work was. If I got kids, I want something like, hey, look how cool this is,
Definitely. These books are supposed to be special escapes, and the left has turned our media into this like ongoing lecture that never seems to end. And sometimes I just want to screenshot like all the crazy media I'm exposed to throughout the day, so it's just and just look at, put it in a folder, look at like the end of the day what I all the different media I saw, and just like see how it's turned into something that's just crass and ugly and doesn't like me. So it's like, well, it's up to us as artists to step up and fill that void now with joy and fun and good and cool stuff, and just making comics, bringing back the fun that got sapped out of it by all these controlling weirdos.
Yeah, that is one of the more interesting things for me too. It's like, if you're in like a very gray and dreary part of town, and all of a sudden you see like a bar with a neon sign, your eyes drawn right to it. And a lot of these books, especially the Comicscape books, and some other indie books as well, at least they're fun. At least you're gonna have a good time.
Right. It's and you guess what? It might be somebody we never hear from again or whatever, an artist that tried and dropped off. Making comics is super hard, and not everyone can do it. But you might also be witnessing the birth of like some of the greatest, coolest new voices in comics, and you might be helping support that. It's cool. It's exciting. It's punk. Like, they hate us so much just for existing, but in the way, it's like, I don't have to be critical on YouTube all day. I'm not much of a YouTuber myself, but my comics, man, they show through the fun and just how, honest and raw they are, that like comics don't have to be that way, the way you guys are doing over there in the mainstream. They don't have to be like that. They could be something free and fun again.
I always kind of compare it to college radio in the 80s and at least the early 90s, where the stuff that they were playing wasn't necessarily the biggest commercial success, but they were the tastemakers. College radio is what drove a lot of underground 80s bands to become the dominant music force in the early 90s, at least, before boy bands came back.
Yeah. I actually heard a really interesting description of like what we're doing by Narwhal, who said it was kind of like the French New Wave, where we're like these critics who are really unsatisfied with what's being made. And then we all got together like they did, and we were like, hey, let's make our stuff our way on our terms, and break some rules and make it fun and interesting again. And then boom, you get like a new wave of comics. By these unsatisfied artists. That's what great movements in art stem from. It's pretty cool. Glad to be part of it.
One thing I was wondering too is there, of course, are a certain pool of people who have stayed interested in comics. They tend to be a little bit older. Do you? Well, let's see. Do you see this spreading into a larger population, or how would you think that we get it through? I mean, to some extent, like I think one of the smartest things EVS did was when he started making those Star Wars videos, because people who like Star Wars are generally the kind of people who would buy comics, and so for me, a lot of the people who sort of either aged out or didn't find any more content interesting in comics went to other genres. But if they were shown like, hey, there's all this cool stuff now, they would come back.
Right.
Do you see any sort of expanse in the audience right now, or?
I have no idea. Like, I'm so out of the loop on stuff like that, unfortunately. Like, I like to think that I bring in like the punk and horror people and people who
Mhm.
like music or like horror movies or whatever. But like other than that, I mean, I don't I wish I had my finger more on the pulse of like where the comic indie audience is and like where, um we'll see. We'll see for sure. Older guys like us, I mean, okay, before, Marvel started getting extra SJW, I already wasn't buying Marvel and DC anymore, and I was just
Yeah.
buying like Dark Horse and Indie because that's what I liked. That's what I gravitated towards. I felt like I didn't know the characters anymore after getting older, and you feel like your tastes change a bit. So it's like, yeah, if you're older and you're like the superhero stuff, you're just like, I love it and I always will. And I do too. But you're just fed up too. Like,
Mhm.
look at this. Look at Terror in the Trenches. Like, look at all these great things that are going on in comics. Look at Battle Brick Road. Look at Downcast. These are cool things happening that I think people will. I think over time, if you make a good enough book, the word will spread and people will find out.
Yeah, for me, the 80s were almost right. It was a time when comics sort of took themselves seriously and they started writing stories that were more like aimed at a slightly older audience. And
Yeah,
they could have taken that and they could have kept making
yeah.
it like older and older until you get into adults and we would be closer to what manga is in Japan. But
Oh, that's cool. That'd be cool.
but unfortunately they screwed that all up.
Yeah.
um all right, so Terror in the Trenches, 23 days left on the original campaign, only a week old, already 34,000, almost $35,000.
Wow. Hell yeah.
That's
Team Terror, go. Thanks for the support, everybody. It's been going great. We definitely doubled what Monster MD did, so I'm happy with it.
that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, man. People showed up. I'm really pleased. And what else can I say about it? I mean, I'll be on the campaign trail for this. I feel like this is a work of art. But it is gruesome and bloody, but it's not. It's not bloody for the sake of it or to be gross. It's definitely a story with really good dramatic moments, with real heart. He's a very layered character now. He's got his own moral conscience, like code and everything. He's an interesting guy. He tried to give up the whole world of killing guys for like becoming a pharmacist and actually helping people. So he's got this dynamic to him that's cool. But other than that, I mean, it's been an honor to get to reimagine him as what I think he always should have been. Just this scary trench warrior badass who does actually have a heart somewhere in there. So
All right. So we've got links in the description and in the chat. Any last thoughts for Terror in the Trench or
I don't know. I'm just proud of this. I'm proud of the work. I think it speaks for itself. With me, what you see is what you get. It's the best script I've ever written, and I just hope you guys will back it. It's once you get all three, I want to do like a slipcase that holds them. That'll be all sweet,
cool?
or maybe a hardback collected edition. We'll do it upright. But this is I feel like you don't want to miss this one. There's something about this story and how well it's coming out, how good the art is, how awesome the writing's going to hit you. That's I don't know how to describe it. It's almost manga, but it's not. It's very much still me and Monica.
Mhm.
But it's animated but adult. It's classic but it's new. There's just so many things I love about this story. So please check it out, guys.
All right. So everyone, Von Klaus, Terror in the Trenches. Also, you can pick up Monster MD there if you haven't gotten that already. So thanks a lot for coming.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. You have the best questions every time,
Thanks,
without fail.
so everyone, if you could like the stream, subscribe. We're definitely going to have a lot more people this year coming on, and hopefully
Nice.
Vonster will be back at some point.
you want to refresh?
Oh, yeah, let's try that there. Hey, there we go.
But damn, so close to 35. Thank you guys.
All right. So see everyone later.
Take care.